Hi, this is Tony. Most time I do trips, but today I decided to show you something about the eclipse because it's coming. Do you have your camera and your telescope ready? Unprotected camera lenses can be damaged. Damage on your cell phone, your camera, your telescope. I want to show you a simple and inexpensive way to protect your camera and your telescope and still take great pictures. If you like what you see, please subscribe and like my channel. Here's the two that we'll be making today, one for a camera, one for a telescope. I never have done one for a cell phone, and most time a cell phone, because of the way they're set up, you're tempted to look at the sun, so I don't suggest using a cell phone. So here's the way that I actually make the filter for the camera. First thing I would do is I take the camera out, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 cuts on this paper towel tube, about like this. And I'm going to cut, slicing both. And what I want to do is I'm going to put these together with a piece of duct tape. You need to use duct tape simply because you don't want anything that will allow light to go through it. So you've got to have duct tape in order to do it, or some other type of tape that isn't clear, whatever tape that may be that you have available to you. I will take this, I'm going to tape it together, just like that. I won't tape it on the inside because I don't want it to actually connect with my camera if it started bleeding over a little bit or whatever. So now I'm going to actually take this and extend my camera out like that. Get another piece of tape ready. And then I'm just going to make this go around it like that. And there you have that part. Alright, so now I will cut this off. I don't need it right now. Now the next portion, you actually take a pair of the sunglasses that they issue a lot of times around the eclipse. What I did is I actually cut one of the portions out, so that's what I have here. I'll just lay it over the top of this round. This is a tape to start with, just so we'll make sure that it's kind of centered there. So I'm going to bend this just a little bit. Some of you people are a lot more craftier than I. So I'm just showing you how I did this to begin with. This comes out to here. I'll take that. Just like this. And that needs to be a little more centered, so I will do that. So not centered. And you need to make sure that you have tape at the top and the bottom to make sure that there's no light that can come in. have those two filters, and once you have that done, I typically would take a piece of tape and just go around the edges just to make sure that it's good and hold tight. One thing about duct tape, it definitely tears fairly easily and it tears fairly straight, so that makes a difference too. Like I said, you don't want to use a clear tape or anything that will allow light to come in, simply because you don't want that sunlight to come in, hurt your camera or your eyes. And there you have it. Pretty simple. Then we'll test it just to be sure. Top of it. So I got it right. There we go. Just like that. And of course, it will not show. Oh, that's an old picture. Sorry. But it won't show this coming through. So, and if it comes off, it'll come off. But that's it. And then I'll show you how to mount it on the camera here in just a moment, or on the tripod here in a second. So now I have my camera actually mounted to my tripod. I've got my camera on and I put the lens cover over. You may be asking what's with the towel. The towel actually is for me to make sure that I don't look up at the sun while I'm trying to find the sun with my camera. So I look under and I actually then start looking for the sun and make sure that I don't look directly at the sun, because it can hurt your eyes very much. This protects your camera, protects your eyes. So here are the pictures that I took of the eclipse back in 2017. Enjoy. No filters used here. Since it's a complete eclipse, you don't have to have a filter just during this time. Notice the star that I have circled there. You can actually see it. The crickets were chirping. Just an amazing thing. This is called the diamond ring. That's the last unfiltered picture I'll take. Not sure exactly what happened with this photo, but I liked it, so I included it in the group. So the way you make a scope is a little more involved. What you can do is I took the cover off my scope and actually placed it on the paper. And now the solar film that you order, it comes normally in an 8-inch by 8-inch sheet. You can make a drawing around it, and you can see where the drawing is, and you would cut this out of actually both pages or both pieces of cardboard. My suggestion is to make it a little bit smaller. In fact, what I would do is I would take mine is actually about 4.5 inches wide, so you could take a ruler and go to about 2 1/4 inches, and then just take a compass, if you have that, or a glass, or whatever you may have that's about that width, and make that a round. Once you do that, then you'll actually cut that circle out of both sheets. So you'll take this one out, cut it out, lay it on top of the other one, draw your circle and cut it out again. I'm not going to do it since I already have mine done. Then you'll take that film that you've ordered, and these normally, the commercial ones normally cost around $60 for my scope. My scope's a 5.5 inch scope or a 5-inch scope, where this one It cost you maybe $20 at the most, but there's some advantages to this one that the other one doesn't have. Once you do that and you have the film inside of the two sheets, you'll actually tape the two sheets together with some tape, which is what I did here. I actually have it taped together, and so then you need to make the flange. And here what I did is I actually took this, and I know this is the circumference of my telescope, so I'll take this and I'll actually bend it around so I'll know how far around to go, and I'll go over just a little bit and I can cut it. And then I'm going to tape it. So I'll have exactly around what I need. And you can do this on the scope too, obviously, if you don't have a cover, because this would work for any scope. And so now what I have is I have that already there. I'm going to tape it one more time just to make sure it's good. So you can see sometimes the tape gets stuck a little bit. Now that I've got it taped, then what I would do is I would take this and I would actually center it around that circle that I have drawn, the smaller circle, actually the one that would be cut out. Center it as best possible, and actually take some more tape, and as you can tell on mine, I actually just took short pieces and taped it all the way around, and then I actually took some hot glue and glued in between it, because what I did is I made some other flanges on here, and I'll show you what those flanges are for when I mount it on my scope here in just a minute. But this is the part that I like about doing one homemade, because when you do that, then there's an advantage to it that you'll see. I also have a case that I actually come across somewhere, and I use this just so that I can protect this in the case, so that there won't be any damage to it whenever I'm actually trying to transport it or whatever. And so you can see where it actually will hook right in there, and so actually I have it upside down, so but you can see where it's protected completely. So I'll be hooking up to my telescope in just a minute, and you'll see what that looks like. So this is my telescope. I have the sun filter actually mounted now. It slides over this. It's a fairly tight fit, but these flanges, or these extra tabs that I put around, I actually put a rubber band with them, and I put that around so that if a large wind comes along and tries to pull that off while I'm looking through the viewfinder, that it won't fly off. That's important, because if you're looking through your eyepiece, whenever this flies off, if it flew off, it would damage your eyes immensely. I also put a napkin or something over the viewfinder itself. That way I make sure that the sun doesn't damage it either. And so once you have this done, then you're set up. You can either put your eyepiece in. I actually have a holder for my eyepiece that I can put my cell phone on, and I actually took a picture of some sunspots. You'll see those in the next slide. So here you see 7 distinct sunspots. One of the things I didn't mention in the video that you've seen just a minute ago is the way to point your scope. What you do is you try to get it as close to the sun as you can without looking up, obviously. You look at the shadow, and the shadow doesn't have anything but the round tube at the ground. Then you're pretty close. You can look in your viewfinder and find it that way. Don't look at the sun through the viewfinder or up at the sun trying to figure out how to get it close. This one here that I have circled is bigger than the Earth. That kind of gives you a perspective of how large this is, how large the sun is. I hope you liked what you've seen. If you do, please subscribe to my channel and like it. Thanks.